see water light. Headlights, I've been whipping midnight through the city. I've been going through some things, trying to get my mind right. Push the bucket to the lip, push that bitch into the fence. Gotta get the full control, gotta get my mind right. Headlights, I've been whipping midnight through the city. I've been going through some things, trying to get my mind right. Push the bucket to the lip, push that bitch into the fence. Gotta get the full control, gotta get my mind right, yeah.
What's going on, Cowboy Faithful? It's your boy DMV back with another one. And I know you guys can hear the birds chirping. This is what I do on Mondays, man. I just sit on the porch and I reflect on Cowboys football. For those that are new to the channel, this is what we do. But make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell each time I come out with content. So the two things that I wanted to talk about this morning were things that were evident last night. And what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start taking a notepad so that I can have my reflections for the morning. But the two things that stood out to me were or the play calling and Cooper Rush, actually, because, and I'll start with the first thing. Is Cooper Rush better than Dak Prescott? I think yesterday Cooper Rush showed us some things. He executed a lot better this week than Dak Prescott executed the game plan last week. He made some throws yesterday that I do not believe Dak Prescott makes personally. People are going to hate me for this, but it is what it is. But that's the beauty of having different players. Different players have different strengths. And it took Cincinnati a while to figure out what Cooper Rush's strengths were and what they weren't. You know, all they pretty much had last year was the Minnesota game tape, in which, you know, our personnel looked a little bit different. So it looked like they were on their heels the first couple of drives, and the Dallas Cowboys took advantage of that. But the one thing that I think Cooper Rush does a better job of in this offense is giving his playmakers a chance to make a play on the football. 50-50 footballs. Dak Prescott just doesn't throw them. He'll rather sit there and pat the damn ball than say, hey, my guy is one-on-one. He's just going to beat that guy. You know, Dak would rather use all of the weapons around him and try and go through his reads. Now, that's a great thing that you want to have in your quarterback. But what Mike McCarthy talked about last week is that there are so many option routes. I had to think about it. No wonder he's sitting there patting the damn ball, because if there are multiple option routes on plays, I mean, unless you have that time or you just, you know, have that continuity with the guys, it's going to look like it looked last week personally. And with this receiver group that we have out there, they're not an option route type group, in my opinion. They need to get into whatever route they're going to get into, so Dak could have, you know, okay, boom, boom, let me check the ball down. With Cooper Rush, it just looked like there was no hesitation in what he was doing. So it leads me to believe, I don't believe that there was as many option routes in this offense this week. We handed the ball off, Cooper Rush, but early on Cooper Rush made some throws, and he made some throws throughout the game that made them have to respect it. In the fourth quarter, with 3:45 left, the Cowboys had the ball, and the first play was a play action, and Cooper Rush made a huge throw. Cooper was ready to drive us down the field at in that point of the game, and the coaches, I'm not sure who was calling plays at this point, but they ran a toss with Zeke to the short side of the field, which was a terrible call. It wasn't a good call at all. I said throughout the game, I was like, well, why don't they give Zeke some of those counters and some of that stuff like that? That time wasn't the time to run a pitch lateral. That was the time for them to, because, I mean, at that point, you have to pick the medium, whether we're trying to drive and you know, take some time off the clock and end up with the ball last, or are we, you know, going to be aggressive? That was a bit of an aggressive call there, in my opinion. Now, I know that we always ask for our guys to be aggressive in play calling, but there's a such thing as being too aggressive and too risky. And I thought that play was a huge risk, and we lost 4 yards. And it ended up costing us that drive. But, I mean, we ended up punting the ball, good field position. Defense ended up getting us the ball back, and we ended up driving for, you know, the game-winning field goal. So hats off to Cooper Rush, though. You know, I'm going to give him his props because, you know, I said what needed to be done with him, but there's another thing in executing. And I thought Cooper Rush, for what he was asked to do yesterday, executed his job very well. Now, he wasn't, you know, the best against the blitz, but he's a backup quarterback, and the team rallied around him. And that's all you can really ask at this point. You know, for me, I feel like, you know, continue to win games this way. Like I told you guys, 16-10, 16-13. Last night, it was 20-17. These are the type of games you're going to have to grind out and win. And they were able to do that last night against a team that I think is a very good football team that just hasn't figured it out. They haven't gotten a win yet. You know, their division is a little bit weak right now, and they have injuries in that division, so they can kind of finagle their way around things. So I thought that it was a good win yesterday. As for the play calling, we questioned whether or not Mike McCarthy was calling the plays in that game, and it looked different early on. So this is my hunch, and we'll probably figure it out later on in what happened. I personally believe that Mike McCarthy took the script. I think he took the first 15 plays, and then I think that Kellen Moore took the rest of the game because you saw Mike McCarthy a lot more involved with the actual play sheet in his hand, and you know, talking into the headset. So you saw that early on. Then later on, you saw Kellen Moore, you know, calling the plays. So I think Mike McCarthy, I think what they might be doing is, you know, taking different possessions. And, you know, I think that it worked a little bit yesterday. I think maybe they need to do a little bit more refining, but it's just week 2. So things will get better. But if that's the case, I think Mike McCarthy needs to continue calling plays. I liked the tempo much better. I think that it was simpler. And I think that we got our playmakers the ball. It looked more Green Bay-esque opposed to what we've been seeing with the Cowboys, because a lot of us, we sit here and we watch these Cowboy games, and we know when something looks different, and it felt a bit different early on, and then as the game went on, it started looking more like the normal Cowboy stuff that we've been seeing. So that's just my hunch, that's just my guess. They'll let us know, and obviously they do a ton of they do a ton of conferences and stuff like that, and a ton of meetings and stuff like that. So Mike McCarthy will probably talk about it. Kellen Moore will probably talk about it. They'll probably keep everything close to vest, but understand with Cowboys Nation, they talking code. And if you've been around long enough, you can kind of crack that code, and you have other Cowboys fans and YouTubers that can crack the code as well. So, but big ups to the Cowboys, man. And, you know, please look out for content. I got Vach Lombardi, Rome, Cowboys Fan Talk. I got Anthony Dorsett Jr. We're going to go on tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk Cowboys, talk about the game last night, and talk about some of our observations. But I appreciate you for stopping by, and I'm out. Peace.